The instant a bullet shattered the windshield of Victor's polished black sedan, he slammed the brakes hard, the tires screeching as the car spun violently across the deserted bridge. His pulse pounded in his ears while the headlights revealed a lone figure standing ahead, cloaked in darkness, a smoking handgun gripped tightly in his fist. "Step out of the car now," the stranger ordered, his voice sharp and merciless. Victor's eyes flicked toward the glove compartment where his own weapon rested hidden. Sweat traced down his temple as he weighed his options. This wasn't some random robbery. Someone had planned this carefully. Instead of obeying, Victor shoved open the car door and stepped out, his stare cold and unflinching. "You've got nerve showing yourself like this," Victor said. "Who sent you?" The man let out a low laugh and moved closer. "You're way out of your depth, Victor. This isn't even about you anymore. It's about the empire your family created. It's about the empire your family created. You're just collateral damage." Victor's jaw tightened. "If you think I'll stand by and let you destroy it, you're even crazier than I thought." Before the stranger could answer, bright headlights burst through the darkness behind them and tires screamed across the pavement. Victor instantly dove to the ground as gunfire exploded through the night. "Victor, get in!" The voice belonged to Mira, unmistakable and fierce. Without hesitation, Victor scrambled toward the speeding car, while bullets ripped through the air around him. The second he slammed the door shut, Mira threw the car into reverse. "What the hell are you doing here?" Victor demanded, breathing hard. "Saving your ungrateful life," Mira snapped as she jerked the wheel to dodge another barrage of gunfire. "You can yell at me later unless dying tonight suddenly became your plan." Victor leaned back against the seat, adrenaline surging through him as the pursuing vehicle closed the distance behind them. Engines roared through the streets while Mira whipped the car into a narrow alley with practiced precision. "This wasn't random," Victor muttered grimly. "They knew exactly where I'd be." "No kidding," Mira replied sharply. "Mind explaining why every assassin in the city suddenly wants your head?" Victor clenched his fists. Deep down he already knew the answer. His father's empire, built on power, influence, and dangerous alliances, was beginning to crumble, and someone was using him to finish the collapse. Mira glanced at him briefly. "Who betrayed you?" Victor remained silent. "You don't even know, do you?" she pressed. "You're buried deeper in this mess than I thought." "Just drive," Victor growled, though inside he knew she was right. Trust had become the most expensive mistake of his life. As they sped beyond the city limits, silence settled heavily between them. The nightmare was only beginning. The highway stretched endlessly ahead, while the distant skyline disappeared behind them. Mira's hands gripped the wheel tightly as she scanned the empty road for signs of pursuit. Beside her, Victor sat rigid, piecing together the chaos unfolding around him. "You realize this isn't stopping," Mira finally said. "If they've come this far, they won't quit until you're dead." Victor exhaled slowly. "You think I don't understand that? This is bigger than me now. They want everything my father built, and destroying me is just the first step." "You've spent years acting untouchable," Mira shot back. "Looks like reality finally caught up." Victor turned sharply toward her. "I never asked you to get involved," Mira laughed bitterly. "Too late. If I hadn't shown up tonight, you'd already be lying in a morgue." Victor said nothing. Her words hit harder than he cared to admit. "What exactly do you know?" he finally asked. Mira's expression darkened. "Your father's enemies aren't ordinary businessmen. They're ruthless people with endless money and connections. Whoever arranged tonight's ambush has been planning this for a long time." Victor stared ahead, memories racing through his mind. Business deals, hidden secrets, dangerous rivals, somehow everything connected. "Pull over," he said suddenly. Mira frowned but steered the car into a secluded clearing off the highway. Darkness swallowed them as she shut off the headlights. Victor stepped outside, pacing beneath the cold night sky while tension radiated from every movement. Mira leaned against the car, watching him carefully. "So what's the plan?" she asked dryly. "Or are we just waiting here to get hunted down?" Victor stopped and faced her. "Running won't solve this. If we don't uncover who's behind everything, they'll never stop chasing me." "And how do you plan to do that?" Victor's eyes hardened. "I know someone who can help." Mira narrowed her gaze. "You mean Isabella?" Victor stayed silent. Mira shook her head. "You really are desperate. Isabella sells secrets to the highest bidder." "She owes me," Victor replied, though uncertainty flickered briefly across his face. "Fine," Mira sighed, "but if this turns into a disaster, I'm not cleaning up the aftermath." Hours later they arrived at a rundown industrial district on the edge of the city. A rusted warehouse loomed ahead, its broken windows hidden in darkness. This is her place? Mira asked skeptically. Isabella doesn't care about appearances, Victor answered. He approached the steel door and knocked 3 times in a precise rhythm. After several tense seconds, the door creaked open. A woman with piercing gray eyes and sharp features stood in the doorway wearing a black leather jacket. Victor, Isabella said coolly before glancing toward Mira. And you brought company. How delightful. We need to talk, Victor said. Inside, the warehouse resembled a maze of monitors, documents, and surveillance equipment. Mira glanced around uneasily while Isabella perched on the edge of a cluttered desk. So, Isabella said casually, what disaster brings you here tonight? Victor's expression darkened. Someone tried to kill me. I need information. Isabella's interest sharpened immediately. And you think I can help? I know you can. She crossed her arms. Information like that comes at a price. I'm not here to negotiate, Victor replied coldly. You owe me. For a long moment, Isabella studied him before finally sighing. Fine, but if this gets messy, you'll owe me even more afterward. Her fingers moved rapidly across a keyboard as encrypted files flashed across nearby screens. Then a name appeared. Victor froze. Darius Langford, Isabella read aloud. Mira frowned instantly. Your father's right-hand man? Victor nodded slowly. He was practically family. Well, Isabella said with a smirk, looks like family loyalty has expired. Victor's chest tightened with rage and disbelief. Darius has been tied to several hostile takeovers recently, Isabella continued, and I'd bet your empire is next. Victor's voice turned icy. Do you have proof he organized the ambush? Not yet, Isabella admitted, but he's been hiring mercenaries, hackers, and criminals. He's building something dangerous. Why target me? Victor demanded. My guess? Isabella leaned back casually. This is personal. Mira folded her arms skeptically. And you're helping us because? If Darius destabilizes everything, Isabella replied, it affects my business too. Keeping Victor alive benefits me. Victor stepped closer. Where is he? That's complicated, Isabella answered. He vanished from every official record. But tomorrow night he's hosting a private gathering at the Altara Club. Powerful people, tight security. If he's planning anything major, it starts there. Victor's eyes narrowed. Then we're going. Mira groaned softly. Fantastic. Crashing a luxury party hosted by the man trying to murder you. I'll need access, Victor said to Isabella. Guest lists, layouts, entry routes. Isabella laughed. You never ask for small favors, do you? Can you do it? Her grin widened. Of course. By the next evening, the Altara Club shimmered beneath the city lights like a fortress disguised as luxury. Guards monitored every entrance while surveillance cameras covered every angle. Victor adjusted the cuffs of his tailored suit while Mira smoothed the side of her black gown, concealing a weapon beneath the fabric. You sure this plan works? She asked quietly. It has to, Victor answered. Inside, crystal chandeliers illuminated marble floors and priceless artwork. Wealth and power dripped from every corner of the room. Then Victor saw him. Darius Langford stood among influential guests, laughing calmly as though he hadn't orchestrated murder hours earlier. There he is, Mira whispered. Victor kept his expression controlled. We wait for an opening. As they moved through the crowd, Victor couldn't shake the feeling that someone was watching them from the shadows. Eventually, Darius disappeared behind a velvet-curtained doorway, guarded by a massive security officer. Victor approached confidently. Private area, the guard warned. I'm here to speak with Mr. Langford, Victor replied smoothly. Before the guard could refuse, the curtain opened. Let him through, Darius said calmly. The private room beyond was dimly lit, lined with dark wood and cigar smoke. Victor, Darius greeted. I didn't expect to see you tonight. Victor remained standing. I know what you've been doing. Darius smiled faintly. That's a serious accusation. You sabotaged my family's empire, Victor snapped. You tried to kill me. Darius's expression hardened. Your father built his empire on cracks and corruption. I merely exposed them. You betrayed us. Your father trusted the wrong people, Darius replied coldly. And now you're repeating his mistakes. Suddenly a loud crash erupted outside the room. Moments later, Mira burst through the doorway while an unconscious guard collapsed behind her. Sorry, she said casually. Things got a little noisy outside. Darius narrowed his eyes. Mira instantly drew her weapon and pointed it at him. Don't, she warned. Victor stepped forward slowly. I'm not here to negotiate anymore, Darius. I'm ending this. Darius laughed darkly. You still don't understand the game. Before anyone could react, armed men stormed into the room. Gunfire erupted instantly. Mira dove behind a table while Victor fought off one attacker hand to hand, smashing a crystal ashtray against the man's skull. Darius used the chaos to escape through a hidden door. He's getting away! Victor shouted. Then go! Mira yelled while firing another shot. Victor sprinted after Darius through narrow corridors and up endless staircases until they burst onto the rooftop beneath the freezing night sky. Darius stood near the ledge, breathing heavily. This ends now, Victor growled. Darius laughed bitterly. Even if you stop me, your family's empire is already collapsing. This isn't about power anymore, Victor said. It's about justice. Darius reached for a weapon, but Victor tackled him first. The two men crashed violently against the rooftop edge, trading brutal blows beneath flashing city lights. You've lost, Victor snarled. Then I'll drag you down with me, Darius hissed. Before the fight could continue, police sirens screamed below. Mira emerged onto the rooftop, exhausted but smirking. Guess who called for backup? Officers stormed the rooftop and surrounded Darius. It's over, Victor said coldly. Darius glared at him with hatred. No, Victor. This is only the beginning. Days later, Victor and Mira uncovered the truth behind everything. Darius had merely been a pawn serving someone far more dangerous, a shadowy figure known only as the Broker. Their investigation eventually led them to an abandoned factory where hidden servers and encrypted files exposed the mastermind behind the conspiracy. Victor opened the final file. His blood ran cold. Margot, he whispered. Mira frowned. Your aunt? Victor nodded slowly. She orchestrated everything. Margot had manipulated Darius, sabotaged the Empire, and engineered every betrayal from the beginning. But this time, Victor was prepared. Using the evidence they uncovered, Victor dismantled Margot's criminal network piece by piece until authorities finally arrested her. As officers dragged her away in handcuffs, she glared at Victor fiercely. You'll fail just like your father, she hissed. Victor watched silently as she disappeared into the darkness. Weeks later, he stood on the balcony of his penthouse overlooking the city skyline. Mira joined him carrying 2 glasses of whiskey. So what happens now? She asked. You defeated the villains. Is this where the hero finally rests? Victor smiled faintly. Not even close. There's still a lot to rebuild. Mira raised her glass. To doing things the hard way. Victor clinked his glass against hers. To doing things the right way. As the city lights shimmered beneath the night sky, Victor finally understood something important. Survival was no longer enough. This time he would build something stronger, cleaner, and worth protecting no matter the cost.